Hello, I'm Bruce Zimmerman, and this is the Open Line Garden Show podcast for this week. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about Verbascum. This is not as popular a plant as many people don't really know it and grow it. But it is a beautiful plant when it's in flower. And it's sort of a leafy one when it's not. So, it's one that you may want to put in your garden. It is most effective in drifts. There are different various colors in it, and it can be blended into the garden. It does require a good, rich, well-drained soil. It does like the sun, but you're going to be planting it basically in full sun. They're all hardy to zone 5. There's a few that might be hardy to zone 4, but the zone 5 ones are the best for flowering. Now, the first one is Verbascum Dark Eyes. Now, Dark Eyes is got a very short habit. It has large felted gray leaves. This is what I meant about nice foliage. It's in a rosette form, and it has a cone-shaped spike of large creamy yellow flowers with a large maroon center. It is great at the beginning of a border. So you're looking at deer resistant. You're looking at a fairly, I would say, drought resistant plant once they're established, mind you. Loves the sun. And it's 8 inches by 10 by 12 when it's in flower. So there you go. There's one that you can use as a light colored one. And then there's Gold Nugget. Now, Gold Nugget has all the same features, but the leaves are a soft silvery color with central stems that are sort of large gold flowers right up through. So you've got large flowers, silvery, soft silvery leaves. Compact plant, again, zone 5, full sun, deer resistant, drought tolerant once established, 8 by 14 by 18. So it's a little taller. Verbascum Honey Dijon, one of my favorite mustards, actually. This one is a sweet, compact plant. The flowers that display shades of peach and gold with a plum eye. Yeah, that's interesting, right? So you're looking at masses of flowers, zone 5, and again, sun, deer resistant, drought tolerant once established, and it's 8 by 14 by 18. Lavender Lass is a verbascum with the large flowers in a lavender and plum. Okay, now lavender and plum means that the outside is more lavender and the center of each floret is more plum. It is got the velvety ruffled foliage, which makes it very nice. Zone 5, full sun, deer resistant, drought tolerant when it's established. 8 by 14 by 23. So that's another excellent one. Plum Smoky Verbascum is got a rosette 16 inches long. The foliage is excellent. There's lots of it. The flowers are a smoky purple, and they bloom for months in full sun with good drainage. Zone 5, full sun, deer resistant, drought tolerant when established, 8 by 12 by 16. So there's one you may want to consider, simply because of the color. Can you imagine that color next to some of the darker yellows or even the pinks? Sugar plum, this one is very, very popular. It's got clear plum flowers, lots of spikes of flowers, and it is a dwarf that reblooms for months in full sun with good drainage. It's hardy to zone 5, full sun, deer resistant, drought tolerant when established, 8 by 12 by 18. So sugar plum is one that you may want to consider because of the reblooming and the long blooming time to begin with. So try the different verbascums, and I think you'll find you'll get something in your garden that looks a little different, stands out, and contrasts well with other plants because of the flower spikes being so vertical and the foliage being sort of rosette and ground cover. That I think you'll really like it, and it'll do well within the garden. Veronica is an even tougher plant. It's hardy to zone 4 in most cases, and it has been actually trialed for overwintering as well. And in Minnesota, in the overwintering trials, the Veronica Aztec Gold and the Veronica Aspire both came through 100%. So that says an awful lot right there. The first one is Veronica Venture Blue, and its blue stands out from the other Veronicas. It has great garden performance. In other words, you got tons of flowers. It's mildew resistant. Plant size is not too small nor too big, and so you've got a mildew resistant foliage, lovely purple-blue flowers, narrow spikes, excellent branching, dense, compact spreading habit, and excellent vigor. Zone 4, full sun, attracts butterflies, and it's deer resistant. 11 by 22 by 13. Now the Aztec Gold, that was such a good overwinterer, is got a brilliant gold foliage in dense mats. So you're looking at something that will form a beautiful drift along an edge of a walkway. So even if you don't have a full spot in your garden, you can actually use it more as an edger. It is hardy to zone 3. Now that really makes it good. Full sun, semi-shade, butterflies, deer resistant, 3 inches by 18 by 8. So it is very prostrate and very good. It is one of the great plants as a ground cover. It will work in mixed containers and hanging baskets and hang over walls, so it can be used in a lot of ways, both in the garden and in containers. The Veronica Aspire is a pink Veronica. It's a rich, saturated, deep rose flowers that are on a compact, long-lasting spike. The flowers and the foliage have extra substance due to its breeding and compact and upright habit. It is usable in sunny planting situations to perk up either a container or a border of a bed. It is hardy to zone 4, and it has a tendency to crowd out other plants, so it's quite aggressive. It's easy to grow, and it attracts butterflies, deer resistant, 6 by 12 by 11. So you've got some nice Veronicas that you can use along the edge and fill it all out. There are different types of begonias, and begonias is a huge section because, as we all know, there are a great number of different kinds, and there are different series, and they have different patterns to them. Some are upright, some are hanging. So you've got all of those that you need to go and use. Now, you've got all this choice, so start using it. Now, these are mainly for shade. They're cold tolerant once they're established, and that means that they really are annual, but they will tolerate a little bit of cold, which is good in both spring and fall, particularly fall to extend the season a little bit. There is ones that are going to be a little more upright in their habits, and that would be the Begonia Enchanted series. 24 inches by 14 by 24. It loves the shade. Containers. It is hardy only to zone 8, but that's okay. We're talking annuals here anyways, and cold tolerant once it's established. And here's some of the nice ones. Now, Enchanted Sunrise is more of an orange, but it's not a stark, hard orange. It's a softer orange. And then there's Begonia Cocoa, Enchanted Evening, right? Now, it's got the darker foliage, and it's got the smaller begonia-type flowers. Now, these flowers are not the big double ones that you see on a lot. These are the ones that are multi-petaled, and this one happens to be a good, rich, dark pink. Pink against the foliage is good, particularly in containers where you want to contrast it with other lighter colored foliage in the shade. You've got the Begonia Enchanted Moonlight. It's a white. And as a white, it's got the dark foliage, so you've got the angel wing dark foliage, white flowers, and it's going to be interesting in the fact that it's going to be an excellent contrast, being white and dark, to a lot of other plants. So mix this one in with some of the other plants that you have, and you'll find that it'll make a very effective container in the shade. The Daystar series of begonias is very similar in the fact that the flowers are, we'll call them single. You see the center, but there's lots of them. They do extremely well in hanging baskets, cold tolerance once they're established. They've got a trailing habit. So that means they really are good for containers, shade, 24 by 16 by 8, which means they're going to be nice sized hanging baskets, which is what you want. The Daystar Yellow is a medium yellow. It's not a hard yellow nor a soft yellow, so that makes it excellent. With a darker green almost to the dark colored foliage, but it's more towards the green. The Daystar Primrose is more of a very pale white, almost with a little bit of yellow in it because of the stamens in the center being yellow. With the angel wing and the darker foliage, it's very, very effective in containers. Again, a hanging style. 24 by 16 by 18. Yeah, beautiful. Hot coral. A good description for this one. And the fact that the flowers are coral colored, but they're very rich, dark, and hot. With an excellent dark, almost brown angel wing foliage. Again, it cascades, it hangs, and it's 24 by 16 by 8. So those are some of the excellent begonias. There are others, but we'll do those at another time. I'm Bruce Zimmerman. This is the Open Line Garden Show podcast for this week.